Hi there. In this video we're going to get started on assignment 2.1. The first thing that you should do before you do anything else is click in the composer field at the top and substitute your name for the composer name. That will help me know whose assignment is whose. All right. The next thing you're going to do is take a look at the diminished seventh chord that's given. We have a C sharp fully diminished seventh chord, and you're going to identify the root of that chord. In this case, it's C sharp, and you can change that to any color you want. Don't leave it black, and don't use this color because that will make it invisible. I'm going to use red. You can use whatever color you like. I just need to know that you know where the root is. Now, the root of a fully diminished seventh chord always acts as T. So in this case, T is C sharp, resolving to D, so we would say that this is 7 fully diminished seventh of D. In the first blank we put the inversion, so we're going to type 7 because it's a root position chord, and in the second blank we're going to type D. The next thing you're going to do, the next thing you're going to do is use each of the other notes as the root of the chord, but then stack it so that it sounds exactly like the first fully diminished seventh chord. Here's what I mean. So for the second chord, we're going to use E as the root. So I'm going to build a fully diminished seventh chord on E. That would be E, G, B flat, oops, D flat. The new root is E. I'm going to color that red. And because E resolves to F, we're going to say that this is 7 of F, but I'm not going to fill in the inversion yet. Because what I want to do is make this chord sound exactly like the first one. So I'm going to pop the D flat down an octave. And by the way, the keyboard shortcut for what I just did is Control and down arrow, and that'll pop it right down the octave for you. So you can see that this chord and this chord are identical in sound, and if you don't believe me, I'll play them. But the way the second one is spelled, E is the root, and the chord now is magically in 4/2 position, because E is the root, G is the third, B flat is the fifth, and D flat is the seventh of the chord. And because the seventh of the chord is on the bottom, it's a 4/2 chord. Now, a nice thing about Noteflight is when you type in 4/2, and I'll click out of it, oops, there we go. You'll automatically get 4/2. I guess I had to take out the extra space in there. All right, for the third chord, we're going to take the next note of the original chord, G. We're going to use G as the root. G, and then B flat, oops, D flat, and F flat. We're going to pop D flat down the octave so that it's equivalent to C sharp. We're also going to take F flat down the octave. And again, we have a chord that sounds exactly the same as the first two, but now G is the root, color it red. G is the root, B flat is the third, D flat is the fifth, and F flat is the seventh. Because the fifth, D flat, is in the bass, we now say that it's 7 diminished 4/3 of A flat, because G resolves to A flat. Don't forget to change the root to a different color, so that I know that you know what note the root is. If you are doing this assignment on paper, just color in the note head of the root with your pencil. All right, finally, we're going to build the fully diminished seventh chord on this note, B flat, but I highly recommend that if you have a flat note, build the fully diminished seventh chord on the sharp equivalent. In other words, if we use B flat as the root, I'll just show you what happens here. So there's a B flat. If I build a fully diminished seventh chord on B flat, I'm going to get B flat, D flat, F flat, and A double flat. And that's a lot of flats. But if I change it to A sharp to start out, That shortcut I just used was the letter Z key. That'll flip your enharmonic. So A sharp, it makes a neater chord. A sharp, a minor third up, is C sharp, and then E, and then G. A sharp, C sharp, E, G. A sharp is the root. I'm going to turn it red. But remember, we want to make it sound exactly like the first one. So C sharp is going to come down. Be sure to use Control down arrow. Don't try to drag it or it will take your sharp away. That's going to come down. And that's going to come down. So now, because A sharp is the root of the chord, it is 7 diminished 7 of B. And the inversion is 6/5 because A sharp is the root, C sharp is the third, and that's on the bottom, E is the fifth, and G is the seventh. So we're going to type 7 diminished 6/5 of B. You can check yourself by playing your work back, and they should all sound the same. And you can also check yourself by switching over to the HTML5 viewer. Go to View, switch to HTML5 Editor. Oops, you should save your work before you do that. Alright, and when we switch to the HTML5 editor, we can bring up the on-screen piano keyboard, and watch this. I can click in each measure and make sure each one is the same on the piano. That's the end of this video. Look at the next video for answers to this chord, number 2. Thanks.